Here, a celebration of your life, because it will live on forever. I love you, my brother.
Trying to figure things out, and he meets Y from Rough Riders. If y'all don't know who Y is, Rough Riders is D-Y. And Y meets him and says, "Can you make beats?" And he says, "Hell yeah." "Why, what you do?" "You buy him a beat machine."
That's right.
Buys it for him. "I need beats by the end of the week." This is Irv's kind of determination. This is a great story because it shows his determination. I come home and I see him in the front on his beat machine. He's reading the manual. He never made a beat in his life. But it took why he could make beats. And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Man, he tells me he meets you."
Yeah.
And he said, "I gotta make beats or it might get ugly." I'm keeping it PG-13. Okay? Yeah, I gotta make beats. He said he brought me the machines, he expected beats. And at the end of the day, by the end of that week, he made about 8 beats. He had Little Rob playing the guitar bass line for the beats that he made, and Wild liked all the beats. And that's the birth, really, of Irv Gotti as a producer. Because there's so many phases of him, but from the music side, that is the birth of Irv Gotti right there. And why I can't thank you enough for that. You understand? Thank you.
February 5th, 2025. The news hits the wire like a gut punch to the hip-hop world. Irv Gotti is dead. At 54 years old, the man who once ruled an empire called Murder Inc. took his final breath. Not on stage. Not in court, but in a hospital bed, silent, surrounded by family, and haunted by a legacy soaked in success, scandal, and street ties that ran too deep. To some, he was a genius, a kingmaker who birthed the careers of DMX, Ja Rule, and Ashanti. To others, he was arrogant, obsessed, and reckless. But no matter how you feel about Irving Domingo Lorenzo Jr., one thing's for sure. Hip-hop doesn't look the same without Irv Gotti. This is the full story, from the Queen's blocks to the Def Jam boardrooms, from the feds to the fallouts to his final days. Welcome to Grand-Negre Media. This is Irv Gotti, the rise, fall, and legacy of a hip-hop kingpin. Before he was Irv Gotti, he was just DJ Irv from Hollis, Queens. Raised in a rough household with 7 brothers and sisters, Irv grew up surrounded by hustle, rhythm, and the street mentality of survival. In the late 80s and early 90s, DJ Irv was producing for local artists, mixing records in dark basements and chasing a dream. But that hunger, that vision, it was different. He wasn't trying to be a rapper, he was trying to be a mogul. His first real shot came in the mid-90s when he produced for Mike Geronimo and Jay-Z, but the major shift came when Irv landed a gig inside Def Jam, working under Lyor Cohen and Russell Simmons. He brought a young rapper from Yonkers to the table, a dog with a growl in his voice. That rapper was DMX, and Irv told Def Jam straight up, if y'all don't sign him, you're gonna regret it. Def Jam bet on Irv, and Irv bet on DMX. The result? DMX's debut album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, debuted at #1 in 1998, sold over 5 million copies. That same year, DMX dropped a second #1 album, and suddenly, Irv wasn't DJ Irv anymore. He was Irv Gotti, named after John Gotti, the infamous mob boss. He used that street aura like a weapon. Irv Gotti had swagger, smarts, and strategy, and now he had leverage. He went back to Def Jam and made his next move, launching Murder Inc. Records, and guess who he brought with him? A Queens rapper named Ja Rule. From 1999 to 2002, Murder Inc. ran the airwaves. Holla Holla, Put It On Me, Always On Time, Mesmerize. Ja Rule and Ashanti were like the new age Tupac and Mary J, love and pain in every hook. By 2002, Irv had 3 platinum artists, Ja Rule, Ashanti, and Charlie Baltimore. His label was printing hits like a factory. At one point, Murder Inc. was moving 20 million records. Gotti was on top of the world. But at the peak of power, the cracks started showing. And behind the scenes, the feds were already watching. While the world was dancing to Murder Inc.'s hits, the streets were whispering. And the feds, they were listening. Because behind the glossy music videos and chart-topping singles, there was blood money and underworld alliances. The name that kept surfacing? Kenneth Supreme McGriff, a known Queens drug lord, a man whose criminal empire, the Supreme Team, once rivaled the Mafia in New York City. And Irv Gotti? He was close, real close. The FBI started connecting dots. Supreme funded movies like Crime Partners. Supreme was seen at Murder Inc. offices. There were wire transfers, shared accounts, and whispers that Supreme was laundering dirty money through Gotti's label. In 2003, everything came crashing down. Federal agents raided Murder Inc.'s Manhattan office. The footage was wild. Agents busting through glass doors with rifles, boxes of documents, hard drives, even financial records. The government's case? That Irv and his brother, Chris Gotti, were helping launder over $1 million in drug money for Supreme McGriff. The charge? Money laundering and conspiracy. The stakes? 20 years in federal prison. But Irv didn't flinch. He stood tall. He said, "We're clean. We're not drug dealers. We make music." And unlike many, he didn't snitch. He didn't fold. The case dragged into 2005. For 2 years, Gotti couldn't move how he wanted. His business suffered. His artists jumped ship. Ja Rule's career slowed down. Ashanti started fading. And in the shadows, 50 Cent was watching, waiting, attacking. If Irv Gotti was the kingpin, 50 was the rebel with the grudge. He blamed Murder Inc. for trying to blackball him. He accused them of being too close to the streets, and he had Supreme's name in his lyrics. The beef got deadly. Literally. 50 Cent was shot 9 times in 2000, and rumors swirled that Supreme, and by extension Irv, was behind it. No charges were filed, but the hate was real. When 50 dropped Get Rich or Die Trying in 2003, it crushed everything in sight. And while Murder Inc. was in court, 50 was in the charts. And he wasn't alone. He brought Eminem and Dr. Dre with him. That was a nuclear bomb. 50 clowned Ja Rule, clowned Ashanti, and took aim at Irv Gotti personally. You soft and your boss is a Fed target. And while Irv was fighting in courtrooms, 50 was fighting in the booth. In 2005, Irv Gotti went to trial in federal court. The jury was shown paper trails, phone records, and testimony. But no smoking gun. No money stack caught red-handed. Just allegations, suspicion, and the scent of Queens Street politics. In December 2005, Irv and Chris Gotti were acquitted. Not guilty on all charges. The courtroom erupted. Irv smiled, but it wasn't joy. It was survival. He walked out free, but Murder Inc. didn't. Because even though the Gotti brothers beat the case, they lost the empire. Murder Inc. was dropped from Def Jam. Ashanti left. Ja Rule's career never fully recovered, and Irv, he became a cautionary tale in the music industry. The feds didn't take him down, but the game moved on without him. After the trial, Irv Gotti walked out of the courtroom a free man. But freedom doesn't always mean power, and power, that was already gone. Def Jam wanted distance, radio moved on, and the new wave, 50 Cent, Kanye, Wayne, changed the sound. Murder Inc. was no longer feared, it was fading. Still, Irv pivoted. He launched Tales, a hip-hop anthology on BET. Each episode was a mini-movie based on classic rap lyrics. The vision was strong, but the audience? Hit or miss. He wasn't the culture's front-runner anymore. He was chasing relevance. But where things turned sour was the Ashanti saga. In 2022, Irv appeared on Drink Champs and spilled everything. His past relationship with Ashanti, how he wrote Happy after sex with her and claimed she owed him for her career. It was awkward, obsessive, cringe. Even Ja Rule looked like he wanted to disappear mid-interview. The backlash was swift. Fans called it creepy, disrespectful, desperate. Ashanti never directly responded, but her silence spoke volumes. In that moment, the myth of Irv Gotti, the boss, turned into something else. A bitter man chasing old glories. In 2024, Irv suffered a minor stroke, his health catching up to his history. He stepped back. Few interviews, no major headlines, just whispers of a documentary, one final play to tell his side. But the closing chapter would never be written. On February 5th, 2025, Irv Gotti passed away at 54. A hemorrhagic stroke ended the life of one of hip-hop's most controversial architects. He died quietly, surrounded by family, not cameras. Ja Rule posted, "You gave me everything. Rest easy, bro." Ashanti posted a broken heart. The culture reflected for a moment. But then came 50 Cent. While fans mourned, 50 posted a photo from a hookah lounge, smirking, smoke in the air. The caption, "Smoking on that Irv pack." No condolences, no peace, just war, even after death. It wasn't trolling, it was legacy warfare. The feud that started in the streets ended in smoke. Irv Gotti was many things. A creator, a disruptor, a mogul, a menace. He pushed artists, he clashed with giants, he blurred the line between the label and the streets. He beat the feds, he lost the culture, he built legends, he ruined relationships, but he never backed down. His legacy? Complicated but undeniable. Because in the end, whether you called him a kingpin, a clown, a genius, or a ghost, you said his name, and you knew it meant something. This was Irving Lorenzo, the man who brought fire to the industry and burned with it. This was the rise, fall, and legacy of Irv Gotti.